Today, I'm doing a solo episode. You guys know that I usually interview my mentees, but I thought maybe you guys might want to know my story. So I'll share it with you. I've worked in psychiatry now for somewhere around 12 years. And the only reason I remember that is because it was my wedding anniversary year. I got married very young, and we got married right when we were able to afford to be financially able to take care of ourselves. I got my first CNA job in mental health while I was in nursing school. And that same year I got married and moved out of the dorms, was 20, but still married. He's great. But yeah, that was 12 years ago. I worked in psychiatry as a CNA and then psychiatry as an RN. I did a little bit of forensics and a little bit of women's health, but 90% of my work was in psychiatry. Then I went to Psych-NP school and then I graduated. And that's where the story of private practice really starts. So I took a job at an academic hospital doing consult liaison. And I was so excited because this was a very prestigious place, very academic place. I was like, I'm going to learn so much. The team was so nice and so big, and there was so many doctors that I could ask my questions to. But then they dropped the bomb of how much they would pay me right before I took the job. And the first number they gave me was less than I made as an RN. And then I negotiated up to what I did make as an RN. And it was some red flags there because they were like, "You're a new grad." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not new to psychiatry. And this is what I made as a nurse. I went to graduate school and I know more." But they were like, "No, this is it." So I was told by a couple of kind of mentorish people that they were like, "You earn or you learn. The first couple years are throwaway years. You're not going to make good money." So I was like, "Okay, whatever, I'll take it." Everything else is great, so I'll take it. But then after the first year, I realized very quickly that I was treated like a med student. I was treated much less than the doctors, but given a lot more work. The pandemic made it way worse. They tripled the work of the nurse practitioners, not the doctors, which isn't the doctor's fault. Just this is what happened. There just wasn't a lot of respect. There was a lot more work on our plates. I tried to negotiate my pay up. I was told if I really cared about my patients, I wouldn't care about money. And that was told to me by a hospital executive. During the pandemic, it was mandatory that we took all of our PTO because the hospital couldn't afford us to be working. So I was just sitting in my house during a pandemic with all the PTO that I had saved up to take a nice vacation. All of this made me feel like, well, maybe I should just go back to working on the floor as a nurse or have a different job because this is not it. This is not it. And I started looking at other NP jobs and I was like, I don't know if there's other ones that are better because there was other ones where I could make more money, but I would see 20 to 30 patients a day. I felt very disillusioned. So then I decided to quit, take a part-time job, and try to decide if I could start a private practice. I knew one psychiatrist that had a private practice, and I thought, I don't know if NPs can do this because I live in a restrictive state, but I'm going to research the heck out of it and figure out if it can happen. I researched for 7 or 8 months. No one else I knew was doing this. I took a part-time job where I was making a better hourly rate. So even though I cut my hours by half, I really only took a 20 or 30% pay cut, but I had savings. So I had money to invest in my business. I ended up finding a really amazing lawyer who's also a nurse practitioner that helped guide me a little bit. I took a marketing course by someone that did marketing. I didn't actually find kind of a mentor for psych private practice until I already had opened my business. There's just so much that I can share. Ultimately, I finally opened and I was really excited. I did really well. My psychiatrist friend that opened a private practice was my collaborator, and she gave me some of her overflow patients. I learned I was way undercharging, and that's a story for another time, but I ended up improving that. I tried different marketing techniques and figured out the marketing technique that I now teach in my course that helped me fill a cash practice. I knew I wanted to do cash because I wanted to keep it incredibly simple. That once people started seeing that I had a successful cash practice as a nurse practitioner in a restrictive state, I started getting more and more people saying, I want to pick your brain. How did you do it? And so this kind of reinforced for me that I should do an online course and mentorship program. I remember my husband had told me when I first met that lawyer and was figuring out stuff, my husband was like, make sure you write all of this down because you might be able to write an ebook or something someday. So I wrote everything down in the process, which was a really good idea. After I was starting to plan for an online course and had my practice open for about 5 months and it was doing well, I was diagnosed with cancer in my right leg, stage 3B. It was right before a stage 4. And I had to go through treatment and I had to hire an administrative assistant to help me while I was sick. And my patients didn't know what was happening. I just shared with them, like, oh, I'm going to take some time off here, there. They were very gracious and generous. I took the time off that I needed. I had a friend cover my practice, which was small and manageable. Only 1 or 2 patients even asked a question in a whole month that I took off. I took off stints at a time for treatment. I had cancer 4 times in 3 years. And then I am happy to say I'm in remission now. Through that time, my practice had my back so much where I could work when I needed and take time off when I needed, and I had complete time freedom. While I was sick, I was also working on my online course, which was really amazing because I had already filmed the videos and done everything. It was a matter of just people knowing that it existed. When I started getting better, improved the course. I still continue to improve the course and it's just going up in value. That's pretty much my story into private practice and into opening an online course that teaches people how to do exactly what I did. Opening a private practice was a game changer for me. This is my end game, a mix of mentorship slash teaching and owning a practice is what I plan to do for the foreseeable future. It's really incredible. And I feel so happy to work with so many amazing nurse practitioners that are opening wonderful practices all across the US. We have right now, when I'm sure by the time you're listening to this, it'll be more, but we have over 30 states represented, over 100 mentees, so many people saying their lives are changed. And yeah, I'm not going to say it's easy.
I think the important takeaway message here is 2 things. First, thank you for listening. And second, I want to say that I think that any psych NP, if they put in the work, can start a private practice of their own. And I do think it's a heck of a lot better with some support. And so if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to put the link to my mentorship offers down in the description. And if you are watching this on a podcast, it will be in the show notes. So you can read more about what is possible with mentorship and how I help people start practices of their own. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys in the next episode.